Welcome to the fastest stop in town. Today on the Sukkah Daf Yotes, we're going to begin on Yotes with all 4 lines from the top. Tnan. So the Gemara wonders, Amai name of P Tikri B'Saisim. If we said P Tikri B'Saisim, as we can see in this picture, these walls should be able to go down. So why do we have in our Mishnah the requirement of it being less than Dalad Amos for Dofna Kuma? Even if we don't apply Dofna Kuma from the outside walls, we should still be able to say it works because of P Tikri B'Saisim by using the Echsadra, those parts themselves. So Targum Rabbi leave it abaya Kishishava es Kiria, when it's equal to the actual roof. So, which is this picture here, which according to all opinions, which is how we'll understand our Mishnah, you cannot say P Tikri or B'Saisim, because there is no area where the roof goes down a little bit, like as we thought in the Havimina, like this picture. But since they're equal, certainly we'll not say P Tikri or B'Saisim, and the only way that we would say it's a good sukkah is dafka in a circumstance, in a situation where we have the outside walls and we say dof nakuma. Okay. Continuing the Gemara. Besura mastilha shmaisil halishna. Svahai lishna. Other lashon that we learned yesterday, that the whole machlokas is only in a situation where they do not have pesimin, where there's no poles, such as we saw in this picture over here. But if there are pesimin, as we saw on Yud Zayin with Aleph, the machlokas is in only a situation where there are no pesimin. So now we're going to have a different opinion right here. So the Gemara continues and says, if let's say there are no pesimin, in that case, no, it's not a machlokas. We don't say P Tikri or B'Saisim according to any opinion. Rather, Divrei Kol Psula. Yesh lo pesimin, Abai Omer Ksheira, Rabbi Omer Psula. That's where there's a machlokas. Abai Omer Ksheira, Omer Loved. Rabbi Omer Psula, Omer Loved. The question is, will we say Loved in this situation? Okay. So the hilchos are kalish nekam. However, the halacha is like the first lashon that we saw yesterday, that if it has pesimin, it's not a problem. If it doesn't have pesimin, then it's a machlokas, whether we say pitik or you're decisive. Okay. Rav Ashi ashkel Rav Kahana. So Rav Ashi found Rav Kahana to come asachach al gabi achsadra, and he put schach on top of this achsadra, she'in lo pesimin, and it had no poles. So apparently this was a problem. So Amrulay will Sabul Amar Hadiyamar Rava Yeshlo Psimin Ksher Eno Psimin Psula. You're talking about a situation where there are no pesimin. So how would we allow, okay, even if let's say you have these two kosher walls, but over here, how do you have a third wall? There's no pesimin, so you would not say P Tikri or B'Saisim on that third wall. So Achnile, he showed him depending on where you're standing. If you're in the outside, you would be able to see this lechi going outward. It looks the same when you're inside. So he showed him, which is this picture here, that really wasn't just the two walls. There was actually a third wall as well, but that was not really a wall, but the lechi, because it is visible from the outside, it's just not from the inside, and that would still constitute as a kosher lechi. And therefore, a lechi has the same din as pesimin, and therefore it is allowed. Okay. Let's continue now with the next piece of Gemara. Gemara then says, Tana pesel hayotzim min sukkah. If you have schach that goes outside of what you built as a sukkah, nidin kasukkah. That part also is considered to be a sukkah. So you can see this picture over here, in which you built a sukkah and the walls go out a little bit, and you have a fourth wall, but actually you have schach going out, and you actually on this outside you have three walls. So not only should you be able to sit in the sukkah obviously inside, but even on the outside has three walls, and it seems to be 100% fine. Almost to the point that it doesn't even seem like a chiddush. So that's why the Gemara wonders, my pesel yitzim in a sukkah. So I'm a little kanam yotzim achori sukkah. So we said these reeds are protruding outward. Ababin and shlosh tefanis b'diika. So we said we do have three walls. Babin and hechsher sukkah b'diika. That outside part achori sukkah does have the minimal dimensions of 7 by 7. Babin and salas mechamasa, but you require more shade than sun b'diika. So you hachim al memra. So what's the problem? Of course it's fine. You would think that since you built the sukkah for the inside part, but not for that which is outside, so you would think the outside wouldn't work. Kamash Malon, it's fine. It's still a good sukkah. Rabbi Yosef bar Mitavayu, actually, it's talking about a different situation. We're talking about a case where the reeds go out from within the actual sukkah. And one of the walls comes along with it, which we have this picture over here, that you can see that in this picture you have schach that continues together with one of the walls. The question is, are you able to sit in that part of the schach? Or do we say that no, just the three walls within those three walls, but not where the wall extends, even though there's schach there? So we say that even that part also is needed in Sukkah, which is again a chiddush. That what do we say? Ma'adatema hal leisbehu hechsher sukkah. This doesn't have hechsher sukkah because there's no walls in that part. Kamashmon, we say ki'ilu that entire area is fine. Rabba Bamarchana Rabbi Yochanan Nitzracha El Sukkah Sharuba Salasa Murmachamasa Miyut Chamasa Murmasalasa. He says we're talking about a situation where the sukkah, the majority of the sukkah is good, it has more shade than sun. However, there is part of the sukkah, a minority, which has more sun than shade. So Madatema Tisel Bahach Porta Kamashmon. You would think that you would passel that part, which either you could say, well, maybe it means the whole sukkah is possible, or we say, no, that part of the sukkah which doesn't have a lot of schach should be possible. Kamash one, you can sit in the entire thing. So my yoitza, what do you mean it goes out? Nothing's going out. It means yoitza nehechsher sukkah. It went out from the norm of what's considered to be kosher, which is more shade than sun. The miyut is more sun than shade. It's fine. If let's say you have schach pasel less than 3 tefachim in the sukkah katana, which we said when it comes to a sukkah katana 7 by 7, air and schach pasel are the same measurement at 3 tefachim. But if it's less than 3 of schach pasel, then it's fine. That again, it goes out from the laws of generally the requirement of a sukkah to have 7 by 7 tefachim of kosher schach. So Maskim Rabbi Isha lo yehi el avir. Why would we say it's any different than air? But avir pachs b'shleish tefachim the sukkah katana mi pasel. Even when it comes to air, less than 3 is not a problem. So what's the whole chiddush here by schach pasel less than 3? Of course it shouldn't be a problem. The difference is that when it comes to air, you can't sleep under it. It may be a good sukkah, but you can't sleep under that area which has the air. However, when it comes to schach pasel, it is okay. Shmura says, 1 second. Is there anything that actually it combines? But in itself is not kosher? That doesn't seem logical. So Amar Rabbi Yitzchak bar Elisha in. Yes, there actually is a circumstance when we talk about the case of a mikveh. As it says as follows. Tit hanaroik yoichiach. If you have this tit hanaroik, Rashi says, shiroil hariko mekli, el-kli, it's muddy enough that it can be poured from one vessel to the next. Kigoyin shihurach, it's soft and moist. Shemitztarif arbaim sa. You can use that as the 40 sa to be part of the mikveh. It's, as Rashi says, mitzaref and lahashlim shir mem sa. However, toivel boy, if you are toivel in 40 saw of this mud, will also a tefillah. So just like when it doesn't, you can't just immerse yourself in mud, but nonetheless, some of it will be okay. So too, when it comes to this the air. Question 13. Eza din behilchas sukkah havi b'gemar l'hadit nan b'mikvois el malin v'lo psulin elu malin v'lo psulin v'amelech latit hanaro. So it says b'mehavu l'aver sukkah mitzaref l'hechsher sukkah. Avol hu atzmo eini yishanam tachtav k'moditit hanaro mitzaref l'hechsher mikvah double ein matbilin boy. So we say it has the exact same din as the air, even though you can't sleep underneath that part because it's air, but nonetheless it is mitzaref that it's a kosher sukkah. That was question 13. Let's continue to the next Mishnah. A person makes his sukkah like a tent, or he puts it next to a wall. So we see these pictures, you have a tent, or it's next to a wall. So the Mishnah says, Rabbi Eliezer Paisel b'mishin l'gag. We had this before on Dav Zayin. This shows that it has to be more keva. It doesn't have a roof. It's not acceptable. So there's a machlokas with regard to this type of a sukkah. So Tana, Rabbi Eliezer. Now, even though Rabbi Eliezer says it's possible, she'im hagviyim in a karka tefach. If let's say you lifted it up, so it's not directly at a diagonal, but it's a tefach up and then it goes to the diagonal. Oh, if you remove it from the wall, tefach, as you can see in this picture, that will be acceptable. So my tabayu the Rabbanan. Why do the Rabbanan say it's not a problem at all? Because he says that the slant for an ohel is like the ohel itself. Even though this is the slant, it's just like an ohel as well. So therefore that is acceptable and it constitutes as the requisite for schach. Now this is a little bit hard to understand because this is going to be the opposite problem. A regular sukkah, but inside the sukkah was this kilas chasana. So the question is, if this is an ohel, then it's you're not yotzeh. So Omerle, come on, Rabbi Eliezer. It must be that it's like Rabbi Eliezer that says kilas chasana b'sukkah. So Omerle, come on, Rabbi Eliezer. So what does Rabbi Eliezer say? It's possible it has no roof. Okay, and since that is possible, that's why he was allowed to sleep in it, because it is not an ohel. Because an ohel has to be above you, not as an angle, not a diagonal. And therefore, since it's at a diagonal, you can sleep underneath it in a sukkah and you still fulfill your obligation. So Shabbat Rabbanim Abdul Rabbi Eliezer, Shamalei Brisa Ivcha. The Brisa is the opposite. Tani Rabbi Eliezer Machsher Chachamim Poisel. It's really Rabbi Eliezer who's Machsher and the Chachamim who are Poisel. The Chachamim say that it's not acceptable. So how does that hold? Shabbat Masin the Abba Brisa. So how could you hold it like a brisa? Sharmalei masnisin yechidahi. Actually, it's an individual. The sani ha'is shekos kvin shrif ha'shesam kol kaisel. Rav Nasan Omer. Rav Nasan says Rav Eliezer paisel nishin lagag l'chachamim machshir. So again, the reason why it's acceptable, as Rashi says, masnisin detani hachi. Our Mishnah that says this, Rav Nasan ketanu dahu yechidah. He's an individual. They disagree. And they say the Rebbe Eliezer is Machshir Chachamim Poisel. It's a Das Yochid that says it. But it's really the Chachamim that said that it was Rebbe Eliezer, it's Machshir. And the Chachamim who's Poisel. So Chachamim, again, will passel, then that would make the Chil's Chasanim in our situation not an ohel. So therefore, again, it's changing the language. That really our Mishnah is not the correct girsa, and therefore, really, he's holding like the sheet of the Tanakh. Question 14. We're actually going to stop there because the Mishnah is going to keep going. Mahia chumra umiha kula in sukkah. What is the leniency and the stringency regarding a sukkah? The nafkamina iyarinin shipu ohalan ku ahalin. So the chumra is if you sleep in a kilas chasanim in a sukkah that you didn't fulfill your obligation because it's considered to be a hefsek. You're being masik between you and the sukkah. It's a kula that if you actually made the sukkah like that, that's the sukkah, right? Like a tent. Then it's considered to be an ohel, it's a proper ohel that's above you, and then it's going to be kosher. So it's interesting. It's a kula. If it's a kula, if you hold shipul and kuahalim, it's a kula for the sukkah. But it's a chumrah if you made this inside of a sukkah, so therefore it'll end up being like 2 sas. Question TA29. Avir skach posel pakas mashleish b'sukkah katana imit starif. So the answer is yes. Imishenim tachtav. So that depends. If it is air is mistarif, you cannot sleep under it. Skach posel is mistarif, yishenim tachtav. But you could sleep under it. TB 30. Tita Norik Mitzarf Lemem saw the Toivel Bolo Tfila. So that's what we saw. So Eza Psul B'Sukkah Dimu Ledin Tita Norik Umaha Dimir. So we said it's the same thing when it comes to the air. Less than 3 Tfachim in a Sukkah Katana, we say that it is Mitzarf, that it's still kosher Sukkah, however you can't sleep under it. Just like this wet or liquidy mud that's mitzaref to mem sof or mikvah, but you cannot actually be toivel in mud which is entirely made of the mem sof. Adkan.